Wow, look at all these people that turned out for you to take their V cards today. Wow, I thought it would be like one or two people, but holy crap, there's like several dozen people waiting out there for you to take their V card. And by the way, he's actually going to take my V card on air.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. Wow, you guys are perverts. Okay,
I'm so excited for this.
Steve, you're making it weird. You are making it so weird right now.
Dude, as weird as you messaged me on this topic.
Oh, I didn't think the topic was that weird. Just the way you're handling it is very weird. So, okay, I said I'd do this because why the fuck not? So, Steve, can you please present to all of us your V card?
Yes, sir. My V card right here. This is my vaccination card that all of you motherfuckers should have.
And if not, there you go, vaccinations. We're talking about vaccinations and COVID conspiracies because I got some shit I would like to say. There's been some dumb fucks on Twitter that have been spewing COVID misinformation, and it's getting me kind of pissed off. So we'd like to talk to everyone about it. And yes, I am not Cheshire. She is taking a break, doing whatever the fuck she wants. That is not this. So you're stuck with me. So yay, I guess. But thanks, Steve, for giving me your V card.
My pleasure. It was
Jesus
really
fucking Christ.
My pleasure. I've been waiting for so long for somebody to ask me for it. You're the first person.
That's brilliant, I guess. Wow. Okay.
Nobody wants my V card. I don't blame.
Listen.
I'm not hurt by it.
If I ask for your V card, I'm talking about vaccinations, okay? I'm talking about vaccinations. Get your head out of the gutter, all right?
Dude, the entire audience, from all the women and the men, have this collective, like, sigh. They're really... Oh, it's like just a sigh of disappointment.
I know.
Yeah.
You all need to find Jesus. Anyway, but yeah, there's been some dumb fuckery posted on Twitter, and... the one individual that I want to point to is a guy called Billy Shears. Now, most people don't know who he is. Good. And you won't find him because his account was suspended. And can you guess why? It was because he was pushing bullshit. Imagine that. So I did want to take some of the claims that he was making on Twitter. I also wanted to comment on some of his friends on Twitter and what they have said. And then we will essentially go from there because, Steve, let me tell you something. Holy shit. Let me just read the first tweet to you, Steve. I want to get your honest reaction on this one.
Sure, yeah, because I don't know this guy. This is all new to me, so.
Yeah, there's so one of his friends that goes by Anna Buryu or Annabelle is hashtag pandemic is over UK. Take off your mask and breathe in some clean, fresh air. Go meet with friends and give them a big hug. Go visit grandma and hold her hand. It's over because we say it's over.
Okay. So they're the arbiter of what is constitutive of a pandemic being over, is just they say so?
I guess because it says here that it's over because we say it's over. And Steve, I don't know about you, but the last time I read up on this, the virus doesn't give a flying fuck about what you say.
No, and there's still a lot of safety precautions still in place. Obviously, if you fly or you take any kind of mass transportation, you're required to wear a mask. I have numerous masks now. I start collecting them. So, yeah, if it's over, then I think that nobody else is aware of this because they are still taking necessary precautions. And as you said, the virus doesn't care what you think. It's going to be there regardless.
Yes, the virus is going to be there regardless of what you think. And so it's stupid shit like this and the other stupid shit that he's been saying, like masks are doing more harm than good or the vaccine is poisonous. He actually said this on Twitter. If you go to my Twitter profile, you won't be able to see his tweets because his Twitter was suspended, but you'll be able to see my response to these tweets that no longer exist. And I asked him, when is this poison supposed to kill me? because it's not doing a really good job. When I got my first jab a few months ago, the only thing that I felt was tired. I was tired as fuck, and I took a really, really long nap. And then when I woke up, it was like nothing happened. When I got my second dose, I had the chills, I had a headache, and then on day 2, I was very fatigued and my arm hurt. And then on day 3, it was like nothing happened. So if this vaccine is supposed to be poisonous, or if it's supposed to kill me or harm me in some way, the worst it did to me was make me call in sick once.
Yeah, I had similar reactions. The first day, really nothing, or the first shot, nothing at all. I mean, just obviously you knew you got a shot, but that's minor. I mean, I've been stabbed so many times, it's ridiculous being in the military. But the second one, yeah, I was fatigued for 3 or 4 days. Had chills for a little while, but it wasn't that unbearable. I mean, it was nothing compared to the people that have COVID that have not been vaccinated. So it was definitely worth it, but it was a little bit of an inconvenience. But from what I understand, if things happen, it's going to happen within the first 15 minutes. Usually you have to stay there in case you have any kind of anaphylactic shock or some kind of reaction to the shot itself, or happens within 4 days later. From what I understand, like there was recently a football player that has some what he had was called myocarditis, which is inflammation of the heart muscle, which are things, complications can happen, but they're insignificant compared to what will happen to people if they are not, vaccinated and they catch the disease. Because what it does is lowers your reaction to it if you have it, so your body knows how to fight this virus off. And so yeah,
exactly.
It was minor inconvenience. Oh, we had a super chat,
and we
do
have,
Cheshire's job. Read the super chats. You have one job: be like Cheshire. One.
I will not be reading any super chats, Steve. You're on the hook for that one.
Fine, just okay. You have one job: be like Cheshire. Just be nice to me instead of like, she's never.
But
nice
Cheshire usually tells you to eat shit on a continuous basis.
She's not nice to me. Rez Instance, $20 Australian. Thank you, Rez, my friend. He says, if the pandemic is over, then I'm a flying pig. I don't think you're a flying pig, and therefore the pandemic is over. Nowhere near from over, especially with the Delta variant.
Yep, and that's exactly what I want to start off with. We'll get back to masks, and the claim that they do more harm than good, and that the vaccine is poisonous in a bit. But I would like to go over the last part of that tweet, which is the pandemic is over because we say so. No, that is wrong. Here's the thing. The pandemic is not over. If anything, it's ramping the fuck up, because again, the virus does not give a fuck about your tweets. It doesn't matter. Okay. But why? Why is this a thing? And it's exactly what Steve McRae said. It's about the Delta variant. The Delta variant is more efficient at fucking shit up within your body. It's about 60% more transmissible. Each infected person, on average, infects 8 other people. Originally, with the original COVID virus, it actually infected 2 to 3 people. So we're already up to 8, maybe even 9 people. So it's more transmissible. Even people who are vaccinated carry much higher viral loads with the Delta variant, which means they can still spread the virus. So yes, even if vaccinated people, you need to wear a damn mask. Wear a mask, social distance, wash your fucking hands, you disgusting shits, and take this fucking pandemic seriously. However, I want to say this to be clear. Vaccinated people have a much better time dealing with this shit, because even though there are higher viral loads, that doesn't mean worse infection. And you can thank the vaccine for that. Vaccinated people have an immune system that is already aware that this virus is a motherfucker and needs to GTFO. You've trained your immune system to act a fuck of a lot sooner. And that can only help. The way that we beat this thing is that we give this virus hell by any means necessary, so that it's constantly getting beat down, and beat down some more, until it's practically eradicated, or we get it to at least a manageable level where people aren't dying of something that is completely preventable. And it's not just from COVID on that last point. We'll get to that in a moment. But just in Florida, we are experiencing 300 deaths a day from this pandemic. And what I'm talking about here are 300 deaths that were preventable. Preventable. The vast majority, if not every single one of the 300 people that have died within the last day or two, all of them, or like I said, most of them, were unvaccinated. If you go on YouTube and you look up a doctor by name of Mike Hansen, he reports that only 0.004% of vaccinated people get sick enough that they require a visit to the hospital. Now, I also shared a bunch of clips on my Twitter where you see entire hospitals filled with COVID patients, and not one of them is vaccinated. Every single one of the COVID patients are unvaccinated. So clearly, the vaccine is working, but it's not a silver bullet. We need we need more people to get vaccinated because the vaccine doesn't cure stupidity or these motherfuckers spewing nonsense on Twitter. And we also need to understand that just because we're vaccinated, we shouldn't stop wearing masks. We shouldn't stop social distancing. We shouldn't stop washing our hands. We shouldn't stop taking all of these precautions and adapting them to our everyday lives. We can still go to fucking Walmart if we want to anytime we want, but we just have to be courteous around other people and take this shit seriously. This is the reason why just recently Alabama had zero, count them, zero available beds. Zero. Now let's hypothetically say you were involved in a car accident and you needed a ICU bed. You needed that bed, but there wasn't any available. Well, it turns out because people are being stupid and not taking this shit seriously, you're kind of fucked in that case. So not only is this a pandemic of a virus, but because of tweets like that saying the pandemic is over because we say it's over, you're now engaged in a pandemic of unmitigated stupidity, which is literally killing people. Steve, what say you to that point?
Yeah, a couple things. First, the super chat, $2 for Ophthalmo. Did you buy Pfizer stock? I got Moderna, so that wouldn't have done me any good. I didn't get Pfizer, so that doesn't do me damn bit of good. So it's funny. The states that tend to, and Alabama isn't in the top 10, but if you look at the top 10 with the lowest rates of immunization, at least at one shot greater. If you have one shot, it's better than nothing. Too, you need to maybe get it fine. But the states that have the lowest amount of immunization rates seem to have the highest amount of ICU fullage of the fact that they have zero beds available. Matter of fact, I just read an article not too long ago where one person was shipped around from like 45 different hospitals and ended up dying because they didn't have a bed for him. So,
well, and also full disclosure, I also got Moderna. I did not get Pfizer.
Yeah. So did you buy Moderna stock? Get rich
No.
because that's how there's a pandemic going on, and obviously it has to be about money, right? Because that's
but believe me,
not about safety or wanting people to survive.
Yeah, I'm sticking it to big pharma by getting a free vaccine apparently. So, but let me tell you about that story. So you mentioned that one guy was getting shipped around, right?
Yeah, you're like 45 hospitals.
Well, I have a name of one of those people because I did mention in Florida the 300 people that are dying a day from a preventable disease, infection, virus, that kind of thing. Well, in Texas, there was an Army veteran named Daniel Wilkinson, and he did not have COVID. And I shared that video on my Twitter because Intrigued Feline was the one that actually sent it to me. And essentially, he needed surgery. He's like, "Hey, listen, this the stone. There was like I think it was like a gallbladder or something like that.
I think it was gallstones.
Gallstones, yes. So this shit was killing him. Unless it were to disappear, he was dying right there in front of him, in front of the doctor. The doctor was like, this facility is not equipped to handle this problem. We need to get you to a facility that is equipped to handle this problem. And this doctor called around, even posted it on fucking Facebook. Listen, I have a guy here. He doesn't have COVID, but he's in some deep shit unless he gets care. And there were no beds available for him. Apparently, they called around all over the state of Texas, and they weren't able to help him. And he ended up dying not from COVID, but because COVID patients were hogging all the beds. And that is something that like pisses me off. This pandemic can be gotten under control a fuck of a lot sooner if there wasn't shitheads on Twitter pushing misinformation and COVID conspiracies. Like I said, Billy Shears is one of them. And but you won't find his profile because it's suspended, but you will see me replying to him in my replies. But also this Annabelle bitch, which is at ANNABERU. Yeah, I'll go ahead and plug her because she's a piece of shit, and I think people need to tell her that. This kind of shit pisses me off. We literally have people dying on a daily basis because of stupidity. People not getting the vaccine, people not wearing a mask, not doing, basic common courtesy shit during a pandemic. And then what really surprises me is that people who actually got COVID and who went through hell to get better again, one reporter asked one of them, so do you regret not getting the vaccine? And he's like, oh, the vaccine may help, but I'm still going to tell people to not get it because it's all part of a government agenda. Those people really piss me off. COVID is real. You literally experienced it. These doctors were busting their ass to save your fucking life, and you're more than happy to not get the vaccine after this hellish fucking experience, or tell other people not to get the vaccine while the tube's being shoved down your throat a second time because, patriotic gargling noises.
Yeah, it's a cognitive dissonance of sorts. You're always going to have people that are 3 standard deviations away from norm. When it talks, you're talking about mental unwellness. We deal with a lot of people that are mentally unwell, and by dealing with them, we mean that we just don't deal with them. That doesn't mean that there are not people that are mentally unwell that we want to help, and that tons of people are mentally unwell. It's part of life. Everybody has something that they're mentally about. But there are ones that are just 3 standard deviations over that will not even accept reality. Their delusions take over. They substitute their delusion for. We see it all the time with flat earthers. A thing that Reds deals exclusively with is that he can have a conversation with a flat earther, show him all the evidence, and we're not talking about a Poe. We're talking about an actual flat earther. They'll deny it, even though the evidence is right in front of them. It's just something in their brain that prevents them from processing it, I think, properly. And I mean, you'd probably have to talk to a psychologist as to why that happens. I have no idea, but we know it does happen because we see it happen with a lot of different types of people. And so those people that will buy into these types of conspiracy theories, and people that watch Alex Jones and Union Rock and those things like that nature, their brains process it that way, that they will see what in front of them. They'll see the evidence, but for some reason they'll hang on to the fact, or what they think is a fact, that there's some kind of bigger conspiracy going on, because I think that makes them feel important. If they think that they know something that the rest of the people don't, that makes them somehow elevated in society, because they're usually are just nobodies and nobody gives a shit about them. But if they feel special about themselves, and we see this, by the way, a lot of times with religious people too, they get very, very proud and haughty that they have knowledge of a deity or some kind of religious beliefs that they have that they think cannot be assailed, that are just unassailable, that have to be true because they say so. Kind of like this person saying the pandemic was say so. These kind of people,
because they fucking say so.
Because they say so. There's a similarity between all those kinds. There's a couple super chats we'll get into here. Real quick. Present 99, 5 pounds. Oh, sorry, euros. It is sad that we even have to have this discussion. I agree. Humanity is effed. Maybe not this time, but the time will come, Horse dewormer for the win. Yeah, that's a whole different ball game. We might get into that. People, people. First, there was like, what was it? Hydroxychloroquine, whatever the hell it was.
Hydroxychloroquine.
Yeah, hydroxychloroquine. I knew that. So it's hydroxychloroquine, and then it was like vitamin D, vitamin C, folic acid, niacin, and great. These things, all these things that are antioxidants and things of that nature, I think are beneficial. I mean, you need nutrients. Will they save you? Probably not, but they obviously you want to build your immune system up. But these are just minor things compared to the vaccination. It's like, trying to stop a bullet with, types of just putting tissue paper together rather than Kevlar. But yeah, our society, they always want to take some kind of alternate route because they think they're, again, it must be big pharma that's trying to make money off this rather than trying to save people's lives. One more. Super chat. Ash Scott, £5. When you look at the U.S. states have the highest, when you look at which U.S. states have the highest infection rates and the death rates, it becomes apparent that COVID-19 is actually spread by Bibles. Well, that might be, I see your correlation there. I mean, in the southern states, the Trump states, those more red states, they do tend to be a lot more conspiratorial, right? They look upon the government with distrust. And so because, the vaccines are promoted by the government because, it's not even a national pandemic, it's a worldwide pandemic. So it's not just our government, it's every government's involved with this, but they don't trust any government out there. So yeah, I think I do see that probably more prevalent in the southern states. They tend to be less educated. That's just, I'm not trying to be disparaging to the southern states, but they tend to be a little bit more the hillbilly type. If that's stereotypical, I apologize, but it the way it is. I mean, look at the education rates. And so they're also more inclined to believe things like younger creationism, flat earth, and things of that nature. OPT Lawyer, $5. I hope you're doing well there, OPT Lawyer. I make sure we check up on him every so often. If I don't get a response within like 3 days from OPT Lawyer, then I know something's wrong. $5. I'm immunocompromised. Please get vaxxed so I don't die. That'd be nice of you. Yeah, do it for. If you don't want to do it for yourself, your wife, your kids, your family, your friends, your neighbors, do it for OPT. Because if you don't, you're a shitbag.
Yeah, exactly.
The Athens 619, $5. I found out a few days ago a high school friend of mine died from COVID after a month battle. He just started a family, wife, and 1-year-old son. That's sad to hear, man. Yeah, that's tough. I'm really sorry to hear about that. I've known a few people
that's the shit right there. Yeah, that's the shit that I'm talking about. We literally are dealing with something that is preventable. We can do shit about this, and which is why it boggles my mind that, in Florida we have 300 people dying a day from this. In Alabama, there are 0 ICU beds. We have an Army veteran that couldn't find an ICU bed when he wasn't dealing with COVID, but just had a medical emergency that needed fucking surgery, and there just wasn't any place for him. You put all of these things together, and it's clear as crystal. The pandemic is not over, and it's still fucking shit up.
Yeah, and that army guy, and anybody that has those situations, they're not listed as COVID deaths, but are they COVID related? Tangentially, yeah. I think that because of the pandemic, those people died. Now, it doesn't mean they necessarily, like you said, they catch COVID. But if it wasn't for that pandemic, they would have gone to the hospital and gotten the necessary medical treatment that they had needed. Now, I'm kind of fortunate in my California area here. It's not that bad. Even though Governor Newsom lifted restrictions, people out and about, has rates gone up a little bit from what I understand? Yes, not like Florida. Florida has gone, through the roof. But people here still are taking the necessary precautions for the most part. Even when I go out, most involuntarily so. I mean, you don't have to wear a mask here if you're vaccinated. I'm vaccinated. Sometimes I'll wear a mask, sometimes I won't. But if you go to any medical facility, anywhere there's possibility where there's immunocompromised people, you have to wear a mask. And I think that's perfectly fine. I think that's the way it should be. It has to be.
Yeah. Thank fuck I don't live in Florida anymore, because let me tell you something. If I had a medical emergency, I would be so screwed. I would be absolutely screwed. If I lived in Alabama, same shit. And it appears in Texas, same shit again. This is why I want to stress the people that Getting vaccinated is the best thing that you can do, but also understand that it is not a silver bullet. You need to still take other precautions along with getting vaccinated. Vaccinations are a tool in our kit. It's not the only one that's effective. So, wearing a mask, social distancing, washing your hands, that kind of thing. Now, a little thing about masks. I saw a meme, and it was a real video where a guy was wearing 10 masks and decided to run a mile in 100-degree heat after smoking to prove that masks can't suffocate you. And there was also a lady who was a bartender who wears a mask for 10 hours a day, and she uses a rescue inhaler every now and then. So she tried all of these different masks, even some that were absolutely fucking crazy, and decided to check her blood oxygen level with one of those clipped things that you put on your finger.
And
yeah, and they were like, "Oh, look, it's still like at 99%. Masks can't suffocate you."
Yeah, the most issue I ever had with the mask is just fogs up my glasses. I mean, I've had to fly with the mask on. I had to take buses with the mask on. It's it's a minor inconvenience, but I think the people that don't wear them, they're trying to make a mountain out of a molehill. They're trying to say, look, I am being so inconvenienced by this, because they're mostly Karens and they just don't give a shit about anybody else but themselves. These are the people that tend to be non-empathetic. These are the people that tend to be very egotistical, self-centered, even sociopaths, but they don't care about anybody else but themselves. And it's a shame because those people do exist, they're affecting other people, like OPT lawyer, who is immunocompromised. And if somebody who just was like, well, I can't, the government can't force me to wear a mask, and I'm not going to, and they are a person with COVID, and that was called vector transmission, where a biological source goes around and infects people because of that vector. You put his life and other people's lives in danger, and I'm not willing to lose another friend again. I've lost too many this last year, and it just, I couldn't handle that. So, like I said, for OPT lawyers' sake, still wear a mask when you go out. I mean, like I said, I don't always do, but I'm probably gonna do that still. I'm still going to wear a mask, I think, after this episode, because it may not affect me, but it might affect somebody else, even though I'm vaccinated. And by the way, even if you're vaccinated, you can still get really sick of it. You can still die, but the odds are infinitesimal compared to a non-vaccinated person. Because what I read was that 97% of people that are in the hospital for COVID are unvaccinated at the moment.
Yeah, when it comes to the Delta variant, even if you were vaccinated, vaccinated people show to have higher viral loads. Now, again, that doesn't mean worse infection, but those higher viral loads means that it can still be transmitted. You can still pass the virus on to other people. Like we said, it's 60% more transmissible. So this Delta variant will fuck shit up. And that is why it is important that even if vaccinated, you wear a mask. Now, here's the thing that people don't seem to understand. When you breathe out, you have these droplets that come out of your mouth every time that you talk, every time that you breathe, and especially when you sneeze. The mask is supposed to stop those droplets, or at least the vast majority of them. Now, again, wearing a mask is not a silver bullet. Being vaccinated is not a silver bullet. Social distancing is not a silver bullet. All these things on their own probably won't do much, but you put all of them together and you have a shit ton of effectiveness. And when I say they won't do much, I'm excluding vaccines from that one, because getting vaccinated is quite literally the best thing that you can fucking do right now. Get vaccinated. But vaccines aside, the other shit probably won't do much on their own, but putting them all together, you're going to help out a lot. And it's not going to inconvenience you that much. You can still go to Walmart and Target and get your shit. And that's why I don't understand what the big fucking problem is. Wear the damn mask. It can't suffocate you, first off. And second of all, you're ugly anyway. Wear a damn mask. And
You've been wearing one since birth for the most part. as a
Yeah,
safety
exactly.
precaution.
And I feel great. Can breathe just fine.
You-
Here's another thing. Well, one person on Twitter in that discussion thread, they branched off and said, um, what do you think about people getting arrested over not wearing a mask? And I go, fucking good. If the business requires it, which all businesses should, and you don't comply with something that is so fucking easy to do, even when they're offering you a free mask at the door, then you're an asshole if you don't comply with that. You're an asshole. And if you get arrested because your dumbass really wanted that carton of milk, but you're not willing to do the bare bones fucking minimum to get it, then you can quite frankly go fuck yourself. Or better yet, you can just use an app and have someone do the shopping for you and deliver it right to your door. Amazon has such a service. Do that if you want to be a stubborn dick face about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's nothing criminal per se about the not wearing a mask. What it is if you don't wear a mask, you can get trespassed out of a private place, right? They can ask you to leave. If you don't, you get arrested for that. There are people that have willfully gone out of the way to try to sneeze or cough on somebody, which is considered assault. That is, to me, I mean, obviously criminal. And they finally have said that, yes, that is constitutive of an act that is assault on somebody, as well as it should be. So, just because you don't wear a mask, they can't arrest you now because it is a civil matter. However, they usually end up doing something very stupid that gets themselves arrested, and I have no sympathy for them whatsoever. But I had a friend just recently ask me a question, and they said, hey, I know you've got vaccinated, but my family's kind of against it, or for it, and I'm kind of against it. And what's your reasoning on this kind of stuff? And my response was pretty simple. It's like, look, when you're born, most of us have gone through a series of shots, right? You've had rubella, you've had tetanus shots and tuberculosis and all kinds of shots. I had a gamma globulin shot for malaria. That goes in your hip, and that one sucks. So, we trust the government and we trust scientists to know what they're doing when we're born, to have, a decrease in these childhood diseases like measles and polio, right? I mean, look at the amount of death rates that went down as soon as Salk developed the polio vaccine. It was tremendous. It was just night and day. And so if we give them that power to make these vaccines and be there for the benefit of mankind, and then have clearly reduced the death rate, why would you not trust them for this? It just seems absolutely absurd. They're not out to, kill people. They're out to save the lives. I mean, it doesn't do them any good to develop a vaccine that's going to cause harm. But just like anything, there always could be complications and side effects. That's norm. That's not norm in anything. Anytime you go into a hospital and you have a procedure, there's a possibility something can go wrong, complications. That's not it's not in any way an excuse not to get vaccinated just because something may happen, because the chances of something happening, if it does, is probably pretty slim as comparative to what will happen if you get it and you're unvaccinated and you have to be on some kind of ventilator, so.
Yeah, and believe me, ventilators are not fun. Look up how they actually work, and then ask yourself, does that shit look enjoyable? I don't know about you, but having a tube shoved down my throat doesn't sound very enjoyable. And I've actually listen. I'm not gonna lie. I saw a documentary like Inside the ICU, I think it was called, or some shit like that, and they actually showed like the usage of a ventilator. And I have to be honest with you, I threw up.
Yeah,
that was.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to be. So somebody had asked, Starfall 21X says, speak for yourself. I'm a Native American. I know better than to trust the government. Steve, okay, so when you were born, you didn't get any of the vaccinations? Did you live on the reservation and you're completely unvaccinated and you stay on the reservation away from the rest of society? Because if that's what you wanted, that's what your family has, that's fine. Sovereignty, yeah, absolutely. I got no issue with that. But if you're living amongst everybody else, then you have to have, a reasonable amount of protections for the society, not just for yourself, but for the society, which is obviously being vaccinated for certain things. You could be a Native American, but if you're going to the public school system, one of the things that you must have is your series of shots, right? And by the way, I did not just have my vaccination shot. I've also recently had a tetanus shot, booster shot, which you're supposed to get every 10 years. I just got that. No ill effects. So, you know, you can play this game. Yeah, the government, you should never trust the government. Yeah, certain things you don't want to trust the government. The government sucks. We all agree with that. I don't think anybody would disagree that the government doesn't suck, and the government generally doesn't have the best interest in your best interest in heart. But when it comes to this, they have to, because if not, citizens die, and that doesn't do really good for the government.
And here's the thing. Most, if not all, of my references are from people that actually took the Hippocratic Oath. So these are doctors, actual doctors who work in these ICUs, who see this shit firsthand on a daily basis, and they're telling you every single bed is filled with people who are not vaccinated. Every COVID patient we have, every single one of them, not vaccinated. That should tell you something.
So Starville says, yes, I have my shots, you racist something or other. How is that racist? Don't come here play the race card. It will never work in your favor, I assure you. Nobody here is racist. Nobody has said anything that is racist. If you feel so, then you're probably not in the right place, because we have adult conversations here. And if you invoke these types of hyperbolic and hyperbolic statements where you think that it deals with racism and bigotry or things like that, you're not in the right place here, because we don't deal with that. So I'm gonna let you have that one for free, and after that, then we're just gonna say goodbye to you, because I'm not gonna sit there and let people throw these grenades of words out that have very specific meanings, because there are racist people in the world, and they are sick and they're vile and disgusting. And me questioning whether you have shots because you're the one that said you didn't trust your government, and I have a very informed retort to you. You want to throw out the word racist? We're not going to accept that. Okay.
Saying that vaccines are effective and that the government would want to save as many people as possible is not racist. Right. Just FYI on that. And when it comes to the Hippocratic Oath, again, we're talking about actual doctors. These are doctors that are dealing with this shit on a daily basis. And they have actually opened up their doors to cameras so that they can show you like a day in the life. I'm serious. Go ahead and look up one of these free documentaries. You can find them on YouTube. You can find them on Netflix, Hulu. They're everywhere. Watch one of them and see just the amount of shit that they have to go through and how much work it is to try and save these people. And then they're forced to make a very difficult decision: who lives and who dies, because there's simply not enough care to go around. There may not be enough ventilators to go around. That was the case when COVID initially took off.
Yep. And well, it still is. There's still not enough ventilators and beds to go around. People are making makeshift ones. Exploratory Minds Project, 20 pounds. Researchers funded by the NIHR and UK Research are set to begin small trials to access installation of 2 of the UK's coronavirus vaccines in development. The research began at Imperial College London and Oxford University. Not familiar with that. I know that just here in the States that there have been, I believe, 2 now that have been approved by the FDA. I know anti-vaxxers were like, oh, I'm not going to get the shot till it's approved. And then after it's approved, they're like, oh, I'm still not going to get the shot.
Yeah, tell me about that. And also, before you continue on, Steve, I am going to disappear for maybe 2 minutes. So I will be right back, but please continue on without me.
Sure. Okay, so, the people, one question people had asked before that I've seen out there was, how they developed the vaccine so quickly. And it was pretty quickly as comparative to some other things. And the reason being is they already had, from what I understand, an understanding of how that particular virus would work, or at least they need to find what to attach it to, right, for the virus to actually work. There was a protein, I believe, that a spike, they called it. My mic keeps falling off. 1 second here. And so a lot of the preliminary stuff had already been done in order to get that particular vaccine, as different from like a cold, the rhinovirus, like that. That was a lot more difficult because there's so many different variations of it, and we're probably gonna never have an actual vaccine for the cold. But from what I understand, I'm not a virologist, and we don't have a virologist on this show, so it's not that type of show. Maybe one of the science shows, but Yeah, vaccines, viruses don't generally want to kill their host. Why? Because if you kill the host, the vaccine doesn't promulgate, right? If it doesn't promulgate, then it dies out and it ceases to be vaccine. And that's not what a virus or bacteria or any kind of infectious agent wants. I'm not trying to say it has intentionality, but I mean, it because of natural selection, because of biology and evolution, it wants to propagate, right? So over time, most of these viruses tend to be less detrimental to the host, and especially with the morbidity rate from the common cold generally doesn't kill anybody, right? Flu obviously does, but usually that's done from dehydration. But the coronavirus, maybe in multiple generations, may become a lot more inert because as far as I understand, everybody eventually will probably get it, right? I mean, you're living your life in society. You're going to be exposed to all kinds of different types of viruses and bacteria, but most of us have enough immune system where we can fight off a bacteria that we get. When you're immunocompromised, then obviously you're going to be far more likely. They're likely to get more staph infections and MRSA and colds and flus. I got to tell you, when I smoked for 25 years, and I was sick quite often. I just wasn't feeling as well as I should have been had I not smoked. I would get, not just allergies. I walk outside, I get allergies. But I'm talking, colds and flu, and it maybe 3 or 4 times a year. Well, I quit smoking 5.5 years ago, and I don't think I've had any kind of real sickness since then. Maybe a day or so of just not feeling great, but I haven't had the flu in 6 years. I don't think I've even had a cold. I mean, if I did, it was very minor compared to what I used to have. I was always congested, low energy. So, when you smoke, obviously you don't have the ability to fight off these things as well as a non-smoker. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't smoke. I believe in bodily autonomy. People can do what the hell they want with their body, and if you want to smoke, knock yourself out. I kind of miss it in some ways, but I realize how harmful it was. Let's see. A lot of people are messaging me here, so let me go through here.
Sounds like a plan, because I do want to touch on one final thing.
Sure. Well, you do that. Let me fix my mic more permanently. Go ahead.
Okay. So the last thing I want to touch on again, even though we kind of touched on it previously, it's this conspiracy going around that the vaccine is poisonous or even microchipped. Like, guys, what the fuck? First of all, we don't have microchips that small, and secondly, you're not worth microchipping.
Nobody cares where you're at.
What's so special about you? Please be honest with me. What is so special about you that Bill Gates would want to fucking microchip you?
Yeah, nobody cares where you're at.
No one cares.
If they were to do that, they would just do it at birth.
You cannot possibly fathom the immensity of the fuck people do not give. You are not worth microchipping. But to this conspiracy that the vaccine is poisonous, I'm going to say if it is poison, it's pretty shit at its job. Because here was my experience. When I got my first jab, I felt nothing for like the first few hours. After the first few hours, I felt fatigued, tired, and sleepy. So I went to go take a nap, and I ended up taking a very extended nap. I slept for 8 hours, woke up for a bit, did some shit, and then slept for another 8 hours. I was just very, very tired. And after that, it was like nothing. Yeah, my arm was a little sore, but that's to be expected, just pain at the injection site. Well, then I got my second dose, and that was objectively worse than the first, because your body is like, hey, wait, there's this shit that I've been trained to look out for, and I'm going to go attack it, and your immune system kicks in. So the worse it is on the second shot, that's actually a good thing, because that shows that your immune system is doing its job.
That's exactly what they told me when I went for my tetanus shot.
So when I got the second shot, I had chills, and it was not fun. I had a headache, and it was not fun as well. And on the second day, I still had that fog in that foggy
brain
head
fog,
feeling.
Brain fog, yeah, I had that too.
Yeah, brain fog. It was hard to focus, and you were just so exhausted and tired. And it was just ugh. But then your arm, it's like I couldn't even lift it. It was pretty bad the second time. But then after 2 days, or I should say on the third day, it was like nothing happened. So the worst thing that this vaccine did to me was make me call in sick to work for 1 day. For 1 day, I called in sick to work, and that was it. That's the poison that people should be worried about. It's a minor inconvenience, but again, this guy who, again, Billy Shears, who you will not find on Twitter anymore because he got suspended for being a shit. He said that this was poisonous. This vaccine was poisonous.
Yeah.
That this vaccine would harm you in some way. In fact, if you're looking at the numbers, the only people that are getting harmed or actually dying by a vast majority, I might, keep that in mind. The vast majority of people that are getting harmed by this fucking virus and this pandemic are the people who are not vaccinated. This vaccine is saving lives on a daily basis. And motherfuckers need to realize that the more they push this pseudoscientific bullshit about how vaccines are bad and that the pandemic is fake or whatever, they're actually killing people. They are actively killing people, and they need to fucking stop. So I support people getting thrown out of businesses for not wearing a mask and respecting social distancing. I actually approve the use of vaccine cards. We need to contain this shit because we're talking about hundreds, if not thousands and thousands and thousands of deaths that were preventable. Some of them didn't even have COVID. They just needed medical attention. But since the medical system is so swamped with COVID patients, they were left on the table to die.
So somebody had asked, what about Connor B says, what about conscious objectors, philosophical or religious exemptions to vaccinations is acceptable? Not when it becomes a societal factor. Conscious objectors, generally they're typically found for people that want to go kill for a war, right? People that were drafted, they have a conscious objection to taking somebody's life. And I understand the need for bodily autonomy, right? But the people that opt out, the people that have no justification for not getting a vaccine, there are many people that can't get the vaccine for medical reasons. I totally understand that. But if you're not one of those people, even though I don't want the government to tell you what you can and cannot do with your body, it does. I mean, you get these vaccines when you're born. You have no choice in the matter. Parents can, opt out of it, I guess. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think that that's a great justification.
What's interesting is that these the people who go to the ICU for COVID-related fuckery. A doctor that is on Twitter, I'll share the link later, was asking his patients, like, why won't you take this vaccine? And one of the common objections was that, well, I don't know what's in it. It was rushed, and no one knows what's in it, was one of the main ones. And it was like, while you were in the hospital, I just dumped a shitload of medication into your body, and not once did you ask for the ingredients.
Yeah, exactly. And anything in enough quantity could be poisonous. I mean, dihydrogen monoxide is poisonous if you have enough of it. That's called water poisoning.
Exactly. And that's the thing. That's why this vaccine isn't being given to you by fucking possums. It's being given to you by people that know how to administer these things effectively and safely, and to make sure that you are treated with dignity, respect. And that's why they have you sit for 15 minutes, because they actually have enough respect for you to make sure that you're not getting any fucking bad reactions from it. They want to make sure that you're okay. They want to make sure that the shit is being administered safely. They want to make sure that they're doing the best job possible. Not only is that respect for all of society, but they're also respecting their own profession when they're doing this. I mean, they're taking this oath very seriously: do no harm, work to the best of your ability to save as many lives as possible. And by them doing this job, they're trying, but we also have dumb fucks that are making it very, very difficult to keep up because misinformation spreads faster, unfortunately.
Yeah, President 99 said he was out 5 days. Yeah, and it affects everybody differently. Like I said, I was down for maybe 3 or 4 days, and it was kind of hard to explain. I was telling Cheshire and Reds and a few other people my symptoms, and it was really hard to explain what I was feeling because it was like nothing I've ever experienced before. It wasn't like horrific by any stretch of imagination. It was completely bearable compared to how sick people usually get. I've been really sick before. This was nothing like that, but it's still notable, right? I was like I'm trying to explain to Rez, the brain fog, and you're not thinking clearly. You just don't want to do anything. You just really want to sit there and just vegetate. There's something else. Oh yeah, Sunny D says, and I'll have a super chat too. I'll get you in a second. One Warped Angel. Sunny D asks, question about hydrochloroquine, myrcin, and azithromycin in combination. Yes, I know that these drugs were intended for. They may also have other benefits. Well, all things have other benefits, but invicromycin, which is the dewormer for horses, is not meant for humans. None of this. It's not. The doses are different. It's not approved for humans. None of this stuff. Nobody should be taking things, one, without medical supervision, and two, why would you want to take something that is not designed to be used for humans? It makes no sense when there's already something that is designed for humans. It's called a vaccine.
Hang on one second. Isn't hydroxychloroquine for malaria?
No, I thought hydroxychloroquine was for was it for malaria? Yeah, maybe it was for malaria.
Let me do a quick search on Google here and see what's up for it.
I thought it was just
treat and prevent malaria.
Yeah, if there was malaria,
Yeah, so it's an immunosuppressive drug and anti-parasite. It can treat and prevent malaria.
Yeah, but malaria. What's the name of the actual virus from?
It can also treat lupus, apparently.
But what's the name of the mosquito transmits I can't think of the name of what actually makes you sick. What actually makes you sick from malaria? I can't think of
that. I don't know. I do know that malaria is not good, and that if you get it, then that is again not good. But hydroxychloroquine is for malaria. So
Plasmodium parasite. That's what it is. So it's a Plasmodium. I couldn't think of the name. So Plasmodium is the parasite that actually makes you sick from mosquitoes.
Yeah, so let's see.
Thank you, Colorado Biker Pepper, but I already looked it up. But yes, Plasmodium. I mean, again, some of the stuff might have alternate uses, but so
it infects your blood for malaria. It infects your blood.
Well, I know. I was reading one, people just want to say, oh, I'm just going to eat very healthy and take nutrients and vitamin supplements and vitamin D and niacin. And even though there's some minor things that I've read that probably suggest that raising your immune system will have some effect, it's again, not anywhere near what you would be getting for a vaccine, from what I understand. Again, I mean, if you're not sure, go ask a medical professional. We're not medical professionals. We're not trying to give any kind of medical advice whatsoever. It just seems to me common sense kind of stuff. I mean, One Warped Angel, let me read the super chat.
Everything that I'm stating right here, you should double check. Listen, double check everything that I say. Do the research. But the one thing that I will say with certainty is that these COVID conspiracies are doing a lot of harm. A lot of harm. And you don't need to be an expert to look at the available ICU beds in certain states like Florida, Alabama, Texas. You don't have to be an expert in order to read the story of Daniel Wilkinson, who had a treatable illness, but because COVID was hogging all the beds, he ended up dying on the table. This is the kind of shit that you don't need a medical license for. And you can clearly see with the numbers that the vaccine is working. It's doing its job. So instead of going to hydroxychloroquine or whatever, get the fucking vaccine. It's made for this pandemic. Quite literally, it was made specifically for this pandemic.
One Warped Angel for 1999. Thank you, One Warped Angel. They say, my mom was in her 80s. Oh, sorry, mom, not was. She's still around. I'm sorry about that. My apologies. My mom is in her 80s and works at a greeter as a greeter at Sam's Club. You wouldn't believe how rude people are to her when she asks them to put on a mask. If they refuse, she isn't allowed to do anything. And that, I understand how every business has their own way of doing things. Now, there are certain businesses that they're different, right? They're like, look, no mask, no service, no shoes, no shirt, no service has been around for a very long time, right? And the government has always said that could be sustained. If they say no shirt, shoes, no service, and especially because it's for hygienic type things, and you walk into a food place and you don't have shoes or shirt or was it no shirt, no shoes, no service, one of those, then yeah, they have the right to ask you to leave, and they don't have to provide a service to you. I don't think a mask is any difference in that regard, and certain businesses will tell you if you don't have a mask, you have to leave, especially in the medical ones. Every time I've gone for a medical stuff, you have to wear a mask. They will not. They have somebody at the door right there, and they're probably heavily armed in some places. No, I'm just kidding. But
and here's the thing. Here's the thing. Some of them are offering masks.
Oh, right there. Yeah, they have free masks. Yeah, absolutely.
They're like, oh, you forgot your mask? Not a problem. Here's one for you. It's free. Take it. It's like they're giving you literally free masks at the door.
I'll give you an example. I had a recent flight somewhere, and there was a passenger that wasn't wearing it over their nose. And, I don't know if anybody's flown recently, but they have all this, stuff they tell you. And one of the things is you have to wear the mask properly, right? And for some reason, this person didn't, and they were in back of me. The steward or the stewardess, it was a male stewardess, steward, I would call him, flight attendant, I guess. Flight attendant would be their PC name. Was talking to them, went in to go talk to the pilot, and next thing we know, that person was let off the plane, and the pilot was like, we're sorry for the inconvenience. What you just saw was the walk of shame, they call it. But it took, like an extra half hour because of that one person just didn't want to wear a mask properly.
So basically, we can end this stream on one simple message. Don't be a douche. Don't be a douche. On flights, wear a mask, follow all the rules. Please get vaccinated as soon as possible if you aren't already. If you are vaccinated, still wear a mask, wash your hands, respect people by social distancing, that kind of thing. We gotta make sure that we take this shit seriously, because the Delta variant is no joke, and people are dying every single day from it. This shit is real, and you're not being limited in your freedoms by taking this shit seriously. You really aren't. The vaccine is free, it's safe, get it, and if you have any questions about it, go to your doctor, get advice from a medical professional, get yourself checked out before you get it to make sure that this shit's not going to fuck with you in some way. Do that. And then if they say the vaccine is safe for you, please get it. Get the damn vaccine. It's free. It's awesome. The worst thing that you're going to experience, at least and from all the people I've spoken to, chills, headache, sore arm, that kind of thing for a few days, and then you'll be up and about making cookies like you were previously.
I like cookies. Macadamia.
There you go.
Macadamia cookies and Diet Shasta. That's
after you get vaccinated, make yourself a big fucking cookie to celebrate.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. It was a short episode today, only an hour. I apologize for that. But thank you, Reds, for filling in for Cheshire today. She was unavailable because she's doing her own thing. Because her life doesn't revolve around us. Go figure.
Amazing.
I know. She's one of the worst minions on that. It's like, no, you're not supposed to do things on your own. You know this. Everything has to be cold approved, I guess, according to some people. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Please leave comments, like, subscribe, become a member of the channel. You get a cool little green thing like Bunny Rabbit, who hey, Bunny, have you put your song up, by the way? I don't know if you actually made that public. She actually sang a song that was really good, because I guess Red started a trend. Red started a thing. But become a member of the channel is appreciated. And with that, Reds, anything coming up?
Nope, nothing
Awesome.
coming up except for one date that I want you to mark on your calendars. October 15th. Mark it down.
Yeah, we're not going to say what it is, but they'd already know, so it doesn't matter. October 15th, big day. All right. Good night, guys, and we'll see you later.
Peace.